The sun hasn't even cracked the horizon, but the Good Morning America studio is already a pulsating hive of controlled chaos. Blinding lights pour down from the grid above, bathing the set in a polished golden glow that screams morning television perfection. Producers scurry in the shadows, headsets glued to their ears, whispering urgent updates. Stagehands dart across the floor, tweaking coffee mugs, adjusting cue cards, and plastering on smiles. As bright as the spotlights, the air hums with the kind of frenetic energy that only live TV can muster, a meticulously choreographed dance of sound, light, and charisma. But beneath this glossy veneer, something raw, something electric, is about to ignite. Michael Strahan sits at the center of it all, perched behind the sleek glass desk that's become his throne. His grin, wide and effortless, is a masterclass in charm, a former NFL titan turned media juggernaut who radiates warmth and control. The cameras adore and the audience trusts him. To every guest who ever sat across from him, Michael is the man who makes the chaos feel like a breeze. He's done this 1,000 times, steering interviews with the precision of a quarterback reading a defense. But today, something's different today. The air feels heavier, charged with an unspoken tension that no one can quite name. Enter Kevin Costner. The moment he steps onto the set, the room shifts like the atmosphere bending before a storm. He doesn't hurry, doesn't wave, doesn't play the part of the eager celebrity. He moves with the deliberate calm of a man who carried entire worlds on his shoulders. Dances with wolves, the bodyguard Yellowstone, a Hollywood legend whose presence alone commands silence. The crew straightens instinctively as he passes, drawn to the quiet gravity that only comes with decades of storytelling mastery. His suit is simple, almost understated, but his steel blue eyes sweep the room with a piercing intensity, reading every face, every flicker of movement, like a general surveying a battlefield 30. Second, a voice barks in the control booth. Michael shuffles his papers, flashing that trademark grin toward the cameras, unshakable. As ever, Kevin takes a seat opposite him, the leather chair creaking faintly under his weight. There is stillness to him, a weight that doesn't sync with the frenetic morning show rhythm. While the studio buzzes with caffeine-fueled energy, Costner sits motionless, a statue carved from focus's hands rests lightly on his knees, his gaze steady, unyielding, like he's staring down the glowing red light of the camera itself. 10 seconds to live. The floor manager counts down, fingers raised like a conductor. Michael leans in a smile, unwavering. This is going to be fun. He murmurs under his breath, a spark of confidence in his voice. Kevin does respond. He gives a small nod, his eyes locked on that red light, as if it's daring him to blink. First, Good Morning America. Michael's voice booms as the theme music fades, filling the studio with warmth and authority. We've got a special guest joining us today, Hollywood royalty himself, Kevin Costner. The audience erupts in applause, a wave of excitement rippling through the room. Kevin offers a polite smile, a slight nod, the bare minimum of morning show enthusiasm. He here to talk about his new Western series, a project the producers are touting as a nostalgic return to his roots. Dances with Wolves, open range Yellowstone. The stage is set for a classic celebrity interview. Light, charming, predictable, but as the applause fades and Michael prepares his first question, Kevin's eyes meet. It's not just eye contact. It's a silent, razor-sharp appraisal look that cuts through the polished surface of the moment. Something flickers between them, subtle, fleeting, but impossible to miss. Impersonal lights still blaze. The audience still smiles. The cameras still roll. But beneath it, all the temperature in the room shifts. It's quiet, like a hush before a storm. Neither man says a word about it. They don't add to the real conversation. Hasn't even started yet, but everyone paying attention can feel the storm is coming. Michael leans forward, his charm in full swing, voice smooth as velvet. Kevin, it's great to have you back, even once again, to the Western genre space where you've an incredible mark over the years. Some critics are saying this new project feels like you're retreading old ground. What do you say to that? The question lands lightly, casually, like a softball tossed underhand, but the moment it hits the air, something changes. Kevin's posture doesn't shift, not at first. He sits still, one hand resting on his knee, his eyes lower for a fraction of a second too long. It's subtle. So subtle the audience barely notices, but the crew feels it instantly. That pause, that stillness. It's the sound of someone choosing their next move with surgical precision. Michael keeps smiling, either oblivious or pretending not to notice the sudden drop in temperature of the studio. Lights hum quietly, their electric buzz filling the silence. Somewhere behind the cameras, a stagehand exhales too loudly, the sound cutting through the tension. Like a pin dropping in a cathedral, Kevin lifts his head. Slowly, the warmth that usually softens his gaze is gone, replaced by something cooler, sharper, a shift from actor to tactician. Retreading old ground, he repeats his voice low, controlled, each word deliberate. That's an interesting way to frame it. Michael, the words are calm, but they carry a weight that silences the background chatter. Michael chuckles softly, trying to keep the rhythm alive. Well, you know, you've given us Dances with Wolves, open-range Yellowstone classics, all of them. I think people are just curious how this new one sets itself apart. Kevin leans back, studying Michael the way a chess master studies a board before making a move. Let me ask you something, Michael. He says, his voice dipping lower, quieter, but sharp enough to cut glass. When you played football, did you only throw one kind of pass? Or did you adjust based on what the defense gave you? The question lands like a lightning bolt. Michael blinks, caught off guard, his grin flickers. But he tries to laugh it off. Well, I was a defensive end, so I didn't really throw passes, he says, his tone light, but the edges of his smile fraying. But you get the point, Kevin replies, his voice steady, unyielding. He doesn't smile. The studio feels smaller. Now the air tighter to laughter that usually ripples to the audience doesn't come. Even the floor manager lowers his cue card. Uncertain whether to signal for a break, Michael shifts in his chair, straightening his back, his voice softening slightly, of course. He says, trying to regain his footing, I just meant some people see this as familiar territory for you. Kevin tilts his head, his tone calm, but edged with steel. You mean the American West stories about survival, sacrifice, the moral cost of progress. You think those stories stop being worth telling? Just because I've told him before. There's no hostility in his voice, but the weight of his words fills the room like smoke. The audience feels it, a faint tightening in their chest, the realization that this isn't another fluffy celebrity chat. Michael nods, but his eyes dart to the teleprompter. Searching for a lifeline, he opens his mouth to respond, but Kevin, still speaking, his voice relentless, measured. These stories aren't about nostalgia, Michael. They're about foundation. They're about who we are, who we've been, and what we've lost trying to get where we are now. The words cut to the air like a blade. No one moves. The control room is silent. Someone whispers, do we cut to break? No one answers. Michael adjusts his tie, a flicker of discomfort crossing his face. He, not used to losing control on his own stage. Kevin leans forward, elbows on his knees, his voice dropping into a quiet, deliberate rhythm, retreading old ground. He repeats this time with a faint smile that doesn't reach his eyes. That's an interesting way to frame it. The moment stretches taut and dangerous. Michael's smile fades. The air feels heavy charged, like the seconds before a thunderclap. Somewhere in the audience, someone swallows hard. They don't know what's coming next, but they feel it. Something has cracked open, and Good Morning America doesn't feel so good anymore. Michael clears his throat, his smile tightening like a rope pulled taut. Well, he says, forcing a laugh. I think a lot of people just want to know what's new this time around. Kevin, what makes it different? Kevin's eyes narrow. That glint of steel. Still, there are a lot of people, he repeats, quietly, his tone making it clear he's not buying it. Or the producers who wrote that question on your cards. The air leaves the room. It's subtle but undeniable. The oxygen vanishes. A few audience members exchange uneasy glances. A camera operator shifts his stance, adjusting the lens. Even though nothing's out of focus, Michael's laugh comes to quickly. Come on now. We're just having a conversation. Kevin tilts his head, his voice calm, but carrying an unmistakable edge. Are we? It doesn't sound like a question. It sounds like a challenge wrapped in civility. The lights overhead burn hotter, their heat pressing down on both men. It seems to me, Kevin continues, that you're more interested in creating a headline than understanding what this work is actually about. Michael's jaw tightens. That's not fair. He says, a smile gone now. I've been nothing but respectful since you sat down. Kevin nods slowly, tasting the word respectful. He repeats, respectful. We'll be doing your homework before you ask a question. Respectful. We'll be recognizing that a story set in the West isn't just another cowboy show. Respectful. We'll be caring enough to understand that this isn't about repeating myself. It's about exploring the heart of a country that's still fighting the same moral battles it always has. The words hit hard, each one landing like a stone. The audience is silent. No nervous laughter, no murmurs. Of silence hums louder than the lights. Michael shifts, feeling the weight of every camera lens look. He says, struggling to keep his composure, this is live television. I'm asking what people want to know. You're taking it way too personally. Kevin's voice drops quiet. But cutting, you call that a question? I call it lazy. And frankly, I expected better from you. Michael blinks. Excuse me, you heard me. Kevin says, evenly, you've been doing this long enough to know the difference between a real question and a cheap one, between a conversation and a setup. But instead of digging for something meaningful, you went for the angle that makes me look defensive. That's not journalism, Michael. That's theater. The floor manager glances nervously toward the control room. A voice crackles through the earpiece. Do we cut to commercial? The director shakes his head, eyes wide, keep rolling. Michael's voice hardens. Are you seriously questioning my integrity on live TV, Kevin? Doesn't flinch. No, I'm questioning your preparation. There's a difference. The lights feel oppressive now, a bead of sweat rolling down Michael's temple. He wipes it quickly, but the audience sees it. Kevin Continue steady as a metronome. You know what? The real problem is Michael shows like this treat guests like interchangeable parts. You invite someone and smile for the cameras, ask surface level questions designed for a soundbite, and move on to the next segment. Like as an assembly line, a sharp intake of breath comes from the crowd. Michael sits back, his voice rising your way out of line. Right now, no, Kevin says calmly and being honest. There's a difference. The silence stretches again, heavy and magnetic. No one can look away. Michael leans forward. Frustration cracking through his charm. You know, I've shown you nothing but respect. And here you are accusing me of being fake in front of millions of people. Kevin's tone is cool, as I am not accusing you of being fake and reminding you what real looks like. For a long moment, neither man moves. The heat, the lights, the hum of the cameras, it all collapses into one unbearable silence. Then Michael pushes back his chair, standing abruptly. The microphones buzz with the sudden movement. His height towers, but his posture is defensive, not dominant. Kevin stays seated calm, collected the picture control. His eyes follow Michael steady and unshaken in that frozen frame. One man standing, the other sitting. The power dynamic flips entirely. The cameras keep rolling. The audience doesn't breathe. The storm is broken, and there's no going back. Michael's voice cuts through, sharp and stripped of charm. You don't get to sit here and tell me how to do my job. Kevin leans back, hands clasped loosely in his lap, unbothered. Him not telling you how to do your job. He says, evenly, I'm asking why you stopped caring about it. Michael's eyes flash. Excuse me. Kevin's gaze doesn't waver. You used to be the guy who asked questions because he wanted answers. Now you ask them because you want a moment to clip the reaction. You're chasing attention instead of truth. Michael points at him, the gesture sharp. You don't know me. You don't know what I care about. Kevin nods slowly. You're right. I don't know you, but I know what you've shown me here today. Michael's breathing quickens, his chest rising and falling. His hand, still pointing, trembles before he lowers it. What I've shown you, he says through clenched teeth, is that I can hold my own when someone walks in here trying to lecture me on live TV. Kevin's voice remains calm, almost gentle, but there's a cutting edge beneath it. Lecture? No, this isn't a lecture. It's a reminder. Michael leans forward, his voice cracking, a reminder of what that's somewhere along the line. Kevin says, eyes locked on him. You don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Subscribe for more powerful video.